Sandy, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, MacKenzie.
So you are an alumni of Amazon Web Services, IBM. What brought you from big tech into crypto?
Oh man, well what was so exciting is that we're getting ready to enter the next generation of the internet. And I didn't want to miss that impact. I got in early on Web 2 with both artificial intelligence and the cloud. And I just saw the momentum and the flywheel starting to spin on Web 3, and I couldn't be left behind.
So what has been going on so far at Unstoppable Domains?
Oh, well, it's been incredible. So we've introduced digital identity, which is an identity that travels with you. It's just part of the fundamentals of Web 3. So instead of like in the Web 2 world where you sign into LinkedIn, you sign into Facebook, and it's two different identities, in the Web 3 world, your identity travels with you, which makes it really powerful because now you can sign into the metaverse with the same ID you sign into a financial application, same ID you sign into a game. So it's very interesting and powerful because then the ownership goes to you. You own the data, and you decide what you want to share of your data versus in Web 2.
Now, Web3 has become this buzzword, and you know, some people like Jack Dorsey and Elon Musk have said that it's more marketing. You know. What is it to you? Is it real? Is it happening now? Is it still in development? Like, where are we with respect to Web3?
Yeah, so I like to say that we're in the dial-up phase of Web3. It's just starting. It's just in its infancy, but it's getting better every day. There are 5 core essentials of Web3. Decentralization is one of those. We're partially there. Digital identity is one of those. We're partially there. Blockchain, getting more stable but still expensive. Community, which is huge in Web3, and I think probably gets a big thumbs up on that one. And then just that ownership capability. So those are the 5. I would say they're in a variety of stages, but we're going to make it, right? That's one of the big sayings of the space. I think that it's going to get there, and I already see in the flywheel start to spin.
And people often talk about the intersection of Web3 and the metaverse. How do the two relate?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I'm a very visual learner, so I drew out this architecture. Everything is based on the blockchain, so it's like the immutable, secure digital ledger. And then sitting on top of that is Web3, which has in it that decentralization as well as that digital identity, the sovereign identity. Sitting on top of that, I think, are DAOs, which are these distributed autonomous organizations, one person, one vote, that helps to govern the system so that it stays decentralized. And then on top of that is the metaverse. So the metaverse is actually a superset of what we see going on. It encompasses Web3, artificial intelligence, AI, as well as IoT as well, right? Like here at South by Southwest, I tried out an AR headset, and you actually have puffs of smell that come in, all brought to you by IoT Land, yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. I have to try that out.
It is really cool.
I was recently at this startup in Brooklyn called NICAP 3D, and they scan products and people into the metaverse, into these OBJ files that can be inserted into, different digital platforms. And I wonder whether is this where things are going, where people are all going to have their own custom avatars to be a participant in this space?
Yes. So custom avatars using IoT to smell and to feel things, and its own economy. So for example, Decentraland, I just kicked off this group called Unstoppable Women of Web3. They gave us a headquarters that we're going to build in Decentraland in the metaverse. They're also hosting like the first fashion show, so I just bought my virtual earrings. And what's really cool about that is now that I bought the virtual earrings, I'm one of the first to be able to buy the physical earrings. So we're starting to see this intersection between the real world, IRL, as well as with the virtual world and what's going to happen. But it's its own economy, its own, you're going to work there, you're going to sleep there. Everything that you do in the real world, you'll do in the metaverse as well.
Last question for you. You mentioned that Web3, we're at various stages of development depending upon what aspect of it you're looking at. By the end of 2022, by the end of next year, how far along is Web3? Is it something that everybody is now using, or does it need more time than that?
Well, I think there are a couple of things that we need to do before we get to real mainstream adoption. One, it's hard, right? I mean, because you do this great show, it's hard today, and that's because we haven't really put a focus on user interface and customer experience. I think that's one thing. I think we'll make progress this year. In fact, here at South by, I talked to a group of startups saying this is a big gap. We need to have startups that go fill that gap. So I think that that's one. The second is we're just starting, and I also believe we need more diversity in the space. So I applaud you being here, representing great women in the space, but we need more. And so we are working to get more diversity because we're at the beginning and we need to hear all voices, Black, white, men, women. I mean, just every voice needs to be heard as we shape the next generation of the internet. And then the third thing I think is we need more standards. So if you think about that digital identity, and that identity is going to be used in all these applications. So we're really going to have to make sure that the standards exist. I don't mean regulation, because it is decentralized, but standards so that we can transport from one to another. That's my take. I think we'll make progress on those three things, and then maybe 2023, 2024, I think we'll see this take off in the mainstream.
Such a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.